All right, guys, I got a 10-minute pep talk today. And today I'm going to talk about Rocky. So I don't know how many of you are fans of Rocky. If you know me personally, then you probably know that I'm a huge fan. I still have it on my bucket list to meet Sylvester Stallone personally. But I've been watching Rocky since I was a kid. I was born in 1982. Rocky 1 and 2 came out shortly before I was born, but I grew up loving the movie. And as a kid, and trying to think back to those days, I don't know if it was just the fighting or the training or the storyline, but I can tell you as an adult, looking back, and I think what everybody loves about Rocky is the story of the underdog proving that he can do something that nobody believes he can do. And there's a part inside of us that really wants that to happen for us personally, and therefore we cheer on. Think of a big national championship football game or a sporting event or maybe a boxing match, and that you want to see the underdog win. There's something about that just makes for a great story, but I think it comes back to our personal story, and it's because we want to win. We might consider ourselves an underdog. And so for me growing up, Rocky was always a great reminder that, number one, you have to keep fighting no matter what. Number two, that, hey, it is possible. The impossible is possible. And there's so many other things that I could kind of expand on, but I think I want to hang out with those today because it does tie into our fitness journey. First and foremost, if we understand, I'm going to dissect Rocky a little bit, but if we understand that, there's an even better story behind the story. I don't know how familiar you are with the, story of Sylvester Stallone writing the script of Rocky in 3 days, having $40 in his bank account, and actually selling his dog, his best friend, who he loved dearly, because he was that broke. And he wrote this story in 3 days. He wrote the script, and somebody offered him $250,000 for the script because they thought it was a great script. And he said no. And let me tell you why he said no. Even though he had just sold his dog, even though he only had $40 in the bank, and I'm not saying that was a good decision, but he basically said no because they said that they wanted someone else to play the character of Rocky. Come to find out, that character that they had in mind was Burt Reynolds. And anybody who's followed movies knows who Burt Reynolds is. Maybe the younger generation doesn't, but I can't even imagine Burt Reynolds as Rocky. I mean, can you be honest? Like anybody but Sylvester Stallone, the thought is just, illegal. So Sylvester Stallone said the only way he would sell them the script is if he was Rocky. And ultimately it happened. He played the character of Rocky, as you know, went on to win the Academy Award. And so many other movies came after that, Rocky 2, Rocky 3, Rocky 4, Rocky 5, of which, several of those, especially in the early part, Sylvester Stallone wrote and directed. And there's, something that I've read that speaks to every single punch in those movies he wrote into a script. In other words, he choreographed the fights. So intentional. Okay, and I'm going to get to how this ties into your fitness journey if you hang with me. And if you're a Rocky fan, I know you're probably sitting on the edge of your seat because you want to hear the next thing, right? So Rocky 4, Rocky 5, and then he wrote Rocky Balboa. It came out several years later with that. And then the Creed series started, and Creed 1 and Creed 2. So to this day, the Rocky character lives on. But let's go back and understand what it is that we can take away from this movie, or what we can take away from this character of Rocky, and how it might apply to our own fitness journey. I'll be honest with you. Whenever you embark on a fitness journey, you are going to feel mentally and emotionally, maybe not physically, like Rocky. What do I mean by that? Well, Rocky's getting hit in the face. You're physically not going to walk away with, I always loved how he looked at the end of a fight. His eyes are closed. If you remember when he asked Mickey, his coach, to cut him so he could literally see, you're not going to be physically harmed to that degree. You might be sore, but let's be honest, very different from getting punched multiple times in the face. But emotionally and mentally, you're going to feel defeated. A lot. You're going to feel so mentally and emotionally defeated that getting back up, as Rocky does over and over and over every movie. Sometimes he gets beat, like Apollo beat him in Rocky 1. Mr. T beat him in Rocky 3, and he comes back. That's what I love about Rocky, is he comes back and he fights and he gives 110%, not just as the character Rocky, but if we're honest, he gives that as the director and the screenwriter, judging by what I've read about how he choreographed the fight, how he paid attention to every detail. He's doing that as the character of Rocky, and he's doing that behind the scenes. And I would, if I got to meet him, I would even know that he probably is doing that in all areas of his life. That getting knocked down is a part of life. And it's a part of success. And just as he tells his son in the movie Rocky Balboa, it's not about how hard you get hit. It's about getting back up over and over. Sometimes we like to soak in our sorrow. Sometimes we pity ourselves. Sometimes we think this diet worked for everyone but me. This workout program doesn't work for me. You're just soaking in your own pity, and you're frustrated or you're sad. But it's not, just like Rocky tells his son in Rocky Balboa, it's not about how hard you get hit, or for you, it's not about how you feel defeated in the moment because something didn't go your way. It's more importantly about getting back up for another round. If you watch, my favorite is, I'll just tell you, it's Rocky 4, right? If you watch Rocky 4, unfortunately Apollo dies, or tragically he dies. Rocky's kind of in his corner and doesn't stop the fight. So Apollo dies. And Rocky wants vengeance against the Russian who killed him in the boxing ring. So Rocky agrees to go fight in Russia for no pay on Christmas Day. And if you watch that fight, it's 15 rounds of just getting beat down. By the end, both of them. And Rocky, of course, as you would guess, wins. And that's your fitness journey. You're going to win some rounds. You're going to lose some rounds. You're going to get hit so hard that your emotions and more importantly, your head, because that's where it's at. It's a psychological challenge. You feel that you can't mentally. And when you feel that you can't, it is the worst thing in the world. And just like whenever Rocky actually has a conversation with his wife before he goes to Russia to fight the Russian. His best friend just died. His wife tells him, you can't win. And that is so defeating. And he says, well, maybe not. But if he's going to beat me, he's going to have to kill me. And that is Rocky Balboa's attitude about life. So I want you guys to take that away today. I hope you can feel the passion in what I'm telling you, because if you apply this principle, you will succeed. Don't quit. Expect to feel defeated more times than you feel successful. And then you'll overcome. If you haven't seen the Rocky movies, go watch them all. it would be definitely worth your time. So I hope you guys have an awesome day.